Here we go, big dog. 1, 2, 3. Boom, boom, boom. Hi, welcome to Control Talk Now, your smart business videocast and podcast for the week ending July 26, 2020. This is episode 372 of Control Talk Now, where we talk about HVAC and smart building controls, and we talk with the doyen of our industry, the one, the only, Kenny Smyers, the man, the myth, the legend from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to the show. You doyen, you.
Doyen, wow. Well, first of all, thank you. It's great to be here. As always, knock on wood, man. The rain, sleet, COVID-19 could stop the show, right?
Can't stop the show.
So here we go.
And for our audience out there who might not know, I just thought I'd beat Kenny to the vocab word of the week.
Yeah.
Doyen is not a character out of a Harry Potter novel. A doyen is a what, Kenny? Do you know?
I would say a good-looking, well-educated scholar.
No, it has something to do with a gargoyle. No, it doesn't. It is like an esteemed member of a potential group.
Oh, really?
You are definitely the esteemed doyen of this group. You and Ken
So
Sinclair.
that's spelled D-O-Y-E-N?
Don't ask me to spell it. I can pronounce it. I just can't spell it.
Okay, well, I got to keep you honest. Then, if you want credit for these big words, you got to hit them.
I spend all week in between these shows just trying to find just the right word, and then also researching in case you come up with a word that I don't know, because you like to drop the vocab words, don't you, buddy? You got to unmute yourself, big dog.
Yeah, no, what happened? I was getting a telephone call, and I didn't want to, try to play it as smoothly as I could there.
You played it pretty smooth, big dog. You played it pretty smooth. So what are you up to, man? I know you're working hard. What's happening up in Pittsburgh, PA, baby?
Well, I think, first of all, we've had some extraordinary hot weather. I mean, talked to somebody in Las Vegas not too long ago, and they laughed because we were at 92, 93. I think one day we went up to 98 degrees, and I love that weather. It was it's been beautiful. Everything's dried out. It's almost in August. I think the COVID thing's really got people spooked. We have a couple of associates that we know and people that we work with and their customers and friends. And one of our purchasing agent service managers got the COVID-19 and he was down for the count, and he was telling us all about the miseries he was going through. So when you start to know people and you start to hear it, becomes a little bit more you take it a little bit more serious. So we're in a site, I think we're between green and yellow, shelter in place. If you sell alcohol, like I said last week on the show, so there are things happening. There's a lot of outdoor seating. The weather's accommodated, so it's been very nice. It's like a European summer versus, but there's no activities on the swimming pools. Are about the only place I think that I've driven by and seen summer life. Everything else has been kind of restricted. They're still trying to figure out the school matrix on how they're taking the federal leads and state leads and local leads, and then they've got to go through all the different players, the union, teachers unions. I think everybody's anxious for to get back into some state of normalcy, and it's not easy. It's not happening as quickly as I think a lot of people anticipate.
Right. Well, listen, speaking of that, and our Atlanta customers will know this gentleman, Luther Hitchcock. Luther worked on our counter for, I think, close to 30 years. He retired about 10 years ago, but some of the older folks will know Luther. He was beloved. He was one of the best employees we ever had. Was just a great guy. People loved him. And you talk about COVID, Lou's son called me, and Lou contracted COVID and passed away. So he's, and he was a bit older, but still, you hate to hear that. So just, for you folks around Georgia and Atlanta, that know Lou, just want to keep everybody up to date on that. But look, we talk about it a lot. It's not anything to be trifled with. And hopefully we're going to get on the right side of this and get back to business as usual. Although it might never be usual. It'll be a new usual. You like that instead of a new normal, a new usual?
A new ordinary, yeah. Well, we got one really good and important shout out, and that is that our friends at Realcomm IBCon are going ahead to moving forward on their show planned for October 28th and through the 30th, and it's going to be in Colorado.
The Rocks, isn't it? In the Rocks?
Yeah, it's a neat place.
Red Rock or something. We've been there, man. We went there with a haystack meeting. Remember we walked, there's those big rocks and all that, and
That was a Garden of the Gods. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, this is at a
That's where you were born, right? The Garden of the Gods.
no, not me, baby. No, this was at gosh, I got it written down here somewhere. Let's see, where is it? Where is it?
That's
They're
so
gonna.
cool, though. I'm really happy for those guys going forward with it. That's awesome. But they're moving the date too, though, right? It's.
Yeah, they've been chased, kind of, around the world. It's going to be at the Gaylord Rockies in Colorado. It's going to be an amazing event. It's going to be a combination virtual live conference. They got a robust virtual platform. It's going to be the best of breed platforms. It's just these guys work really hard and they do a great job. And they're moving forward. They made the announcement and they're putting together their SBIS Smart Building Integrator Summit. They're putting their things together. There's been a lot of traffic going out with some of the big players there. The Hawks, Brian Turner, Jim, Lisa. Just there's a whole group of people. Leroy Walden, just a lot of guys, and in the industry there are Brian Oswald, Ken St. Clair, Leon Warfel, Marc Petock, Phil Rogers. Everybody's getting their heads together because I don't think everybody's going to be able to go. I know a lot of the major players, vendors, they're not allowed to travel till 1/1/21. Don't even talk about it. CG&A just canceled their Synergy conference in September. It was going to be in Chicago. That cancellation came out this week. So we applaud these guys, Jim Young and Howard Berger, and all their staff. They just do. At least
they're leaders for sure, Kenny.
because
Jim Young's a visionary and he's out there. And
right.
let's fingers crossed. I'd love to see that thing happen. It'd be great to. I wouldn't mind going to Colorado. I'm ready to travel, dog. I am so ready to travel. But hey, talking about big announcements, we got one coming up. So stay tuned. Let's introduce our guest, Kenny, and then we got a big announcement coming in this interview. We caught up with this gentleman earlier in the week. When I think of this guy, I think of the 80s. I think of Cindy Crawford. I think of supermodels. I think of Bentleys and Rolls Royces. I think of Madison Avenue. I think of just a brilliant controls guy with a lot of style. How about introducing our guest?
Eric, I'd love to. Our next guest has his numerous titles. Actually, I'll start with the one closest to my heart, and he's the Emcee of the ControlTrends Awards. He's also, very much involved in the Haystack Connect, the Haystack community, and holds a very important officer position there. But he also has a daytime job where he's the Chief Marketing and Communications Officer for LinkSpring, and his name is Marc Petock.
Welcome, Marcus.
Gentlemen, good to see you. As I said earlier on, I feel like it's been a long time.
It has been.
We even spoken. I'm telling you, COVID's really taken a toll on not talking to people here.
Well, now, Mark, listen, you can let us in on this if you want to, and you don't have to own up to it if you don't. But, since we are family and our community's family, rumor has it that there's a caped masked crusader that is going around your neck of the woods, and people not wearing masks are being taken out by this Cape Crusader. Could you be the Cape Masked Crusader, Mark? Are you ready to cop to that, or?
I don't know. I'm just going to say no comments.
Well, good, because then I was going to wear this, and if I don't have to, then perfect. But hey, Marcus, man, it is so good to have you. We've missed you, but listen, let's get right to it because people have been asking. They've been saying with the COVID, with all the crazy stuff going on, what are you bozos going to do about the ControlTrends Awards? And as the MC, why don't you tell our community what you think is going to happen? What's going to happen?
Well, I'm happy to announce, and I'm glad you guys kind of give me the honor to say that we're going forward with the ControlTrends Awards next year. And yes, it will be a little bit different. It will be the first digital awards and utilizing digital format to present the 2020 in 2021 ControlTrends Awards.
Fantastic. Wow. And Kenny, I got a question for you. If we can get some sponsors for this, and there will be some sponsorships available at obviously a greatly reduced rate, but if we get some sponsors, we'll be able to have models this year? for our digital awards?
I think we can arrange that if you think that's germane to the best interests of our Control Trends community. We certainly can address that.
Yeah, but we're not having any male cheerleaders this year, right, Mark?
No comment.
Hey guys, you know what? That backseat driving hurts. Even if it's
Sorry,
8 months
brother.
ago, it still hurts. Could it?
Hey, no, it was great. It was great. He was a really handsome guy, and the girls are really cute. So,
hey, first of all, we got the substitute, the last minute substitute. Okay, for what we saw this, and we give you this. We got one of those deals. Okay, but I think what's important was that the whole football, the tailgate party. I think it sold. It went over well. Looking at those videos, I didn't see anybody out there looking cross and felt like they weren't at a really neat event that made a combination just as we promised. We did the Control Trends Awards. We had low issues with AV again. The communications were off with the microphones once again, and the stage was cramped. But I think Roger Rebanak delivered an intro that's unforgettable, and it brought everybody to the tables. Once we got them there was a keen interest on the actual execution of the show and the awards. We got to take, and address and recognize all the heroes and all the way to the Hall of Fame where Mark, we got an opportunity to give you tribute to the amazing job you do in the industry.
No, Kenny, it was.
And then, though, let me finish. I'm not done.
All right.
We transitioned, just like I said, to the center stage, main picture, side stage, football, and the crowd was lost. And so I forget what happened. I was so tired, probably right about there. I was real happy to get back to a normal take care of business that we had to take care of, and then hide somewhere so I could have a couple drinks in peace.
Right. Well, that happens at every award ceremony, though, Kenny, I think. But I got to ask you guys something, because again, it's an opportunity to do something really clever. And have you guys seen this thing the Rolling Stones did on Facebook?
So it's not.
Oh yeah, but they played like 3 different places.
Well, no. Well, they've done a bunch of cool stuff, but the one I'm referring to is there's a video cam on Mick Jagger, and he goes, "Tell everybody out there we're sorry about COVID." And all, he's in his house. You can see he's like in his living room or something like that. And he starts with the guitar. He starts playing. You can't always get what you want.
Yeah. So
and then Keith Richards comes in from his house, and then Ron Wood comes in from his house, and then Charlie Watts is sitting there with drumsticks playing like on his furniture, right? But they did this really cool version of "You Can't Always Get What You Want," and I'll remember that for friggin' ever. It was one of the neatest things I've ever seen. So that's kind of the feel we're going to go for. We don't know exactly how we're going to pull it off yet, but it will be cool. And so more to come on that.
Well, and I want to throw in a thing in there. I'd probably get on my tangent. I'd get really defensive. It's been a problem all my life.
You're not going to talk about the male cheerleader again, are you?
I'm going to say that the digital capture that has been done for the last 9 years has been just priceless in terms of who was there, what happened, the excitement, how it was captured, the camaraderie. As Vlad scans through the crowd, just keeps people on their toes and off guard, but captured a remarkable amount of the people that really truly are the driving forces in our industry. I mean, if you ever wanted to say, there's no Hall of Fame, for the industry, we've created one, and we're contributing every time we do it, even if it's a digitalized version of it, it's going to contribute to that critical mass that we've already got in place for the Control Trends Museum, the Control Trends Awards in posterity. In other words, we have to start looking to see who's going to carry the baton in the late future here. But because I think our industry needed this sorely. It was very, very I think we add a measure of culture to our industry that was missing, and that we need to keep elaborating. No matter how challenging it is, or just like everybody else fighting through the COVID nightmares, we're gonna experience our own version of that and deal with it and produce something and move on.
Well said.
And I think, again, look at the value, whether it's live at an event like we've been able to do for the last many years, or soon to be digital here. It's all about recognizing the technology, the products, the solution, and the people. And even though we do this digitally, we're still recognizing the wonderful talent and great solutions that this industry has been able to develop and get out into the marketplace. And look what we're doing with that technology and then the people behind it. So I think it's a really good thing.
You just gave me a flare of our smallest building needs what we now provide the essentials, and that is remote monitoring, remote control, and some of the things that you guys do at Lake Spring are remarkable, because you just made another announcement about the building automation systems and building management systems, simplifying them and making them more affordable and making them more effective with the new megahertz products that you release. But I think that's where I realized with an industry how we are very, very important in the jobs that we do, and that even though we miss the mainstream, and when you compare us against bankers, pilots, teachers, whatever, the building automation, the HVAC world was off center, but we've just kind of moved into center stage in many, many ways. Don't you think?
I think you're so right, Kenny. And listen, Mark, putting another way is, with COVID and all that's going on, I think, like Kenny said, we're very, very important in this thing. How are you seeing companies like yours, Link Spring, and the people in our industry, the great people in our industry, how can they contribute to helping solve this problem? And what are you seeing in terms of, are things changing with how they're creating?
Well, I think that's a good question. And so I think one of the biggest, what I call fallouts from this whole pandemic thing, is how culture is changing of how buildings are going to be managed and operated. In other words, the culture behind how we traditionally have operated and managed buildings is definitely changing, and it's forced a paradigm change. And let me kind of go a little bit further. I see that we've shifted from one driven by performance, efficiency, and all those buzzwords we've been talking about for the last several years. Again, still very important. To now, it's now being driven by risk mitigation, safety, crisis avoidance, and trust. Trust, I mean, is that technology from our industry is helping drive the trust in buildings, that returning people, the occupants, can feel that they are entering a trusted environment to go to work, to engage, and things like that. And I see how the return on investment type discussions we've always had for the last several years has turned to protecting the health of the human capital that is, which is really the occupants and the tenants within these buildings. And I'm very proud to be in this industry, particularly at this moment, because I think it's what we have done as an industry. We have done an outstanding job in making occupants feel safe and secure within the building environment, not just because it's important to our business survival, it's our industry. We are uniquely poised to meet this challenge, and we have the solutions already developed out there in the marketplace. So again, I think we all deserve a pat on the back for what we've been able to do and are doing to help combat this pandemic.
Well said, Mark. There's a presidential election this year. Any chance you might get into the race? That was really nicely said.
And this one. And you know what else? One other thing is, just a general comment about this whole thing. We as a global society is going through. One of the things that I've noticed is that we have gotten to be more creative than ever before. I think this whole downside of the pandemic has created an opportunity for all of us to be a heck of a lot more creative. And we have shown that, whether go back in the early days, if you remember, in Italy, where they were getting out on the balconies and singing opera and all this dancing. And I mean, just all these things. Who would have ever thought that? And then one for you guys, I posted this on my LinkedIn page, is that Barbados is offering a 12-month remote work stay incentive program. So guys, what's taking us so long? Let's go work remote from the beach.
I'm in. Let's go, buddy.
I have to come an official timeout here. First thing I need to do here is I need to be more accurate with my introduction. I left out a couple of things because, I mean, Project Haystack, Mark, you hold the official officership of a secretary, but you're also a contributing editor to automatedbuildings.com, which again, that's a lot of work, a lot of effort, but you share a lot of really unique insights. In your last article, you wrote, "Don't tell me what you can do, tell me what you can do." And that reminds me a lot of JFK with that's not what your country could do for you, but what you could do for your country. But what a reversal. What a very interesting thing about all the things people are looking at their, introspect, of what they're missing and what they can't do and why they can't do it. And you're saying, hey, time out. Let's talk about what you can do. So
I told you he'd be a good presidential candidate.
Hey, Kanye's looking for a VP, right?
Yeah, that's right.
No. Mark's looking for a VP. Kanye, pay attention.
Okay.
So, I mean, this whole thing, the other thing, what I noticed too, is when I talk about this creativity thing, there's another thing that I recently saw where Rice University is building 9 new classrooms, all outdoors. Who would have ever thought you would have had outdoor classrooms? So they're taking what's been given to them. Okay, we've got to, have secure and safe and all that kind of good stuff. And so they're building 5 classrooms with the circus type tents and all outdoors. They'll have the ventilation and they're hooking up all the HVAC systems, lighting, all the stuff we all do today. And 4 of them, and the other 4 are going to be permanent, semi-permanent structures. So they're being creative in how to continue to do business and teach the way they're supposed to be teaching.
Cool. Well, congratulations to them. I mean, that's the stuff I like to hear. In other words, we're on a tangent here where we're looking at, Eric just said earlier offline that, this is all about making lemonade out of lemons. No matter where you're at and no matter what state, what country, there's creativity that's just going to surface up. It's going to bubble up and somebody's going to come up with greater ideas like Rice's outdoor classroom.
Well, no, you're right about that. Mark, to your point, it's really interesting because, I've done art over the years and a lot of times artists, when they need to have a breakthrough, will limit themselves. They will take a bunch of the tools out of the toolbox and say, for example, I'm only going to use these colors, or I'm only going to use this lens, or I'm only going to do this. So it's it really sparks creativity. Scarcity sparks creativity, especially when you're sort of stuck. So I'm sort of with you, Mark. I think there's a lot of silver linings in this. And I know LinkSpring, I know you typically don't like to talk a lot about what you guys are doing, but you guys have not been standing still during this COVID. Tell our community a little bit about what LinkSpring's up to and some of the new products and new offerings you guys have come out with.
And you're right, we're not standing still. We are full speed ahead and going. Like, for example, last week, we made an announcement that we just released a enhancement or a further version of our Genesis Edge 534 controller that has the Monit sensor capabilities included. So we had announced a while ago that we had one with 900 megahertz from North America. And the one we just released last week picks up 433 and 868 megahertz. So now the product, the solution is available in the international markets throughout Europe, Asia, and so forth and so on. So now,
okay. Hey, Mark, real quick for people that might not know about Monit, because that is such a cool deal, and how cool this solution is. Walk them through, why you do this, because this is one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time, and Monit's a cool sensor, and the way you guys have incorporated it. So say more about it, if you would.
So Monit is IoT sensor type technology and solutions. So over the years, they've got a 100 or so sensors, and all different types of sensors, whether it be temp, humidity, occupancy, so forth and so on. And so what we've done is we've taken their technology and their gateway that was required in order to connect into their sensors. And by the way, they're all wireless sensors, to be clear, which is really cool. No wires involved, all wireless. You can peel them, stick them up and do whatever you need to do, take them down and whatnot. And we've taken their gateway and built it into a fully functional Genesis Edge Niagara IP controller. So we've got the gateway is in a Niagara-based controller that can then help establish this wireless sensor network and then start getting command and control and connect to the different sensors. So now, as I said earlier, it's now available with the addition of the new frequency on a global capacity now.
Very cool.
Yeah, and especially, we talk about COVID. One of the things I think we all in the industry already realize, and we talked about it earlier, about remote monitoring, remote command and control, all of that. This helps with that. And the fact that you need to start getting sensor data, whether it's occupancy, temperature, airflow, humidity, so forth and so on. All of this helps with the COVID situation. So it's an opportune time for sensors and this whole Monit product that we've had going on in the market for a while now. So
really good stuff. It really is. And I think, again, the acceleration of technology has begun. We've seen it in a way that the adoption rate and the adaptation of wireless to the building automation or to the building space. We used to get a lot of pushback. A lot of people just either they didn't like it or they just, it was hocus pocus to them. When we do demonstrations now with wireless, and they see the impact cost. Of course it affects different parts of the country differently. But for getting an immediate solution into place, you're talking minutes versus hours. You're talking hours versus days to bring those new requirements that they're being imposed, where you got to prove that you're doing this, you got to prove that you maintain this temperature. A lot of people didn't have the finances to put in big, new or to, upgrade their building automation system. They're going to, what they say, the legacy, it runs until it dies, and then we'll look at it, and then they go into this awful rip and replace attitude. But, the truth is that you could put in a parallel network pretty easily, easily on the pocketbook too. In other words, it's getting to the point where we are talking. Eric and always wondered who was going to be first to do it, but different manufacturers are making this stuff so affordable to the end users that the service contractors and the controls contractors can package this thing, put it in, have it up and running, have it completing its role, its mission, providing that remote monitoring, providing that remote supervision and control, and then charge a monthly basis, a monthly fee, because then all of a sudden, it's not a capital investment. It's more of a, monthly overhead expense, like they're used to paying.
And I think too, beside what you just said, is that the technology in and around wireless has improved greatly over when we first started talking about wireless technology several years ago. And it's only getting bigger and better as technology, what you would hope that technology would. Another thing we're announcing next week is a new addition to our Edge enabled product portfolio, which is a Genesis Edge 414 IP Niagara based controller. So basically full stack of Niagara in a controller with 14 IO built in. So it's a sister, if you will, of the 534, 34 IO built in. This has got 14 IO built in. And for example, it's, use cases is, small to mid-sized facilities, multi-site environments, plant and equipment control, especially for applications where there's minimal integration with third-party products, or you just want to connect a piece of equipment in and get that connectivity and be able to get data, get all that information and send it up somewhere and to analyze it. So we're really excited about that, and that will be released next week on the 23rd.
Congratulations, Mark. You guys are doing some great stuff, always have, and it seems like you always will. I wanted you to put your Madison Avenue hat on for a couple minutes here. And we've talked a lot on this show about how things are changing. And we will eventually have a vaccine. We will eventually, get past this. I wonder, and we've talked about on the show, how many people, now that you don't have to sit in traffic necessarily, we got the proof of concept, people can work from home, that, how many people are actually going to come back into the buildings? And for the sake of this argument, let's just, again, using the Madison Avenue hat, you are consulting with property management people like behind Kenny's head. They got these big buildings with all this commercial real estate space. How do you now brand your building in such a way that it's going to entice people to come back in? And is there a link with the technology that people like you sell?
Let's do the second part first. 100% absolutely yes. And I don't think we have to really dwell on that. Yes, there is a link to the technology to, let's just put it, not only what LinkSpring sells, but what our industry develops and sells. All right. So to me, it all goes down to one thing, and I mentioned earlier on in our conversation here, it's all about trust. Can the building owners and operators need to create an atmosphere of trust for occupants and tenants? So what does that mean? I've always looked at it, there's a visible side to this and there is a non-visible side. Visible side is you walk into a building, you see all the signs, wear your mask, clean, wash your hands, clean, all the visible stuff, practice social distancing, all of that, great, keep it up. But there's a non-visible, that's all the mechanical systems, that's all the HVAC systems, all that stuff behind the scenes. They in turn need to make sure that those systems are at their peak potential with respect to helping reduce, prevent COVID and Legionnaire disease type things as well from buildings being shut down. Again, air filtration, humidity, HEPA filters, so forth and so on. And I think, are we that far, and you guys can answer this one, from having a COVID building rating system?
Absolutely.
So in other words, we have LEED certified, we have whatever, and just like we go into a restaurant, they have ratings on cleanliness and food safety. They get an A in some parts of the country, others it's numbers. Are we going to have a COVID stamp that says this building meets various mandates or, whatever?
Absolutely.
And I think we are. Now, there are a few in the works now from various organizations. And, I think it's, we will see this become part of it. But to a building owner and operator, to your point, Eric, I want to get that stamp of approval, 100%, because that's going to help me ease the minds of the returning folks coming back into the office building.
You just hit on a key point, Mark, because again, I'm putting myself in, if I'm own commercial real estate, I don't know a lot about controls, but the real benefit that it seems like we can sell is, hey, we can show you ways that you can ease the minds of people so they'll come back into the building. And I think that's what you've got to focus on if you own buildings right now.
100%. Again, it goes back to that trust. Are you going to buy something or go somewhere unless you really trust the environment in which you're going to? Probably not. You're not going to take your family. I know that. I'm not going to take mine. So right. To your point.
You're not going to get on a boat. You're not going to go into a theater. You're not going to go to a football stadium. In fact, what's happening is the regulatory cases that are being made, starting with ASHRAE and ending up with BOMA and God only knows who else is going to throw. You might have insurance companies that are going to say, are you X, have you done this? Are you here? Do you have a visual dashboard that presents this information clearly? Just like to get your LEED certification, like you said, you got to put a green dashboard into the lobby that when people walk in, they see things that are behind the stage, the operational technology in this building are up to stuff. They're
right.
We're saving carbon footprint being reduced. We're saving trees. You got to create the fluidity that trust you're talking about, Marcus. So I wrote down.
Yeah,
it's all about an atmosphere of trust.
Right. What is, and Mark, real quick, and because I want you to comment on this. Yeah, but to create that is Kenny Smyers used to say, "In God we trust, and all else get data. And, you know, if you think about our industry, I mean, there are other people that can gather data. I mean, there are a lot of people that can do that. But since so much of the safety is related to the ventilation and the conditioning of the building, with our analytics and our dashboards, it really puts us in a very unique position. So I think if you're an integrator or you're a service contractor, you need to be talking to your building owners about, we can create an atmosphere of trust. We can get you the data so you can show people, as you said, Mark.
Exactly. And imagine if you're a building owner and you rely on tenants to occupy your building and their lease is coming up. Look at being COVID certified. And again, I don't know, whatever we might end up with in the future. That is a additional value add that will help drive that tenant to remain in that building versus leaving to go somewhere else where the building next door is a COVID certified building. So I think there's a lot of value there. And let's kind of take it a step further, is that one of the trends I've been seeing over the last year and a half is the smart building technology, or technology that our industry, what we do, we make buildings smart, if we kind of bring it down a little bit, is that they're adding value to those buildings. So they're increasing the asset value of that building. So for example, let's say if I've got a COVID certified building and I've got all this whatever in there, I go to sell that building. Chances are I can sell that at a higher price tag versus a building just like it without those services or that rating in there. So, I mean, I look at it as a really increase in asset value as well.
Well, you know, some of the webinars and whatnot I've been on recently, they talked about the value. You know, they were saying that the bottom line was a couple of guys really narrowed it down. They said, okay, here's the deal. You're going to have less tenants and there's going to be greater competition, and you're going to have to offer to them at a lower price. That's the realities. Now, when you talk about adding this transparency and having it, when people, you know, and we've heard some of the biggest names in these campuses, like the Googles of the world, you know, trying to think of the other people in Pittsburgh. Google's one of them, and then another one just moved into Pittsburgh. But you know, they've got these gigantic buildings. They bought them, they modified them, they made them just, you know, beautiful campus type things, you know. And now probably you know, 20% of their people are working in these buildings off and on, A team, B team, whatever they do. But the rest of them are working from home. So you take somebody that already has a really good infrastructure like Google, you know, they spend a lot of money. They're using Comfy in all their buildings and whatever. They're going to have less of a press to bring people back than other people because they've already invested in that infrastructure. It's already there. It's just a matter of adding more transparency to their customers and to their employees. But somebody that really hasn't really taken that viewpoint to provide this cool culture building, they've got a formidable amount of work ahead of them. And to your point, I think it's going to be that standard that if ASHRAE doesn't push hard enough, somebody will. So everybody, it might be self-imposed. The realty companies might do it themselves to say, our building is this, this, and this compared to somebody else's building.
Right. And to your earlier point about insurance, okay, we saw a model where if we think about cybersecurity, insurance companies are asking what cybersecurity postures and initiatives that a business has to help prevent cybersecurity issues. And they are basing insurance policies as part of, just like a Moody's rating for financial.
Sure.
But one thing that which is interesting, and here I am in Richmond, Virginia, and my state, Commonwealth of Virginia, last couple days ago, announced the adoption. I'm going to read this to you. Virginia adopts first COVID-19 workplace mandate, mandated from the states that the buildings have to meet certain criteria. So are we that far off other states? What about a federally mandated thing that, okay, guys, this is an issue that's going to be with us for a while, and who knows what the next pandemic might be. You've got to step up and make these buildings, conform to certain new mandates or protocols, so, and I think other states are going to follow Virginia. I think Virginia in this case was a trendsetter because they took it upon themselves to look at it. The safety of the individual at work is key. And the fact that we don't have any federally mandated guidance yet, or protocols or whatever yet. So they took it upon themselves. Go ahead, all buildings, you must adhere to this by a certain date. So.
Well, I think the deal is from an economic standpoint, okay, is look, we got to get things back up and going. And people that I know that are in other countries that have adopted those standards. I was listening to a financial thing this morning. New Zealand, for example, 0 COVID cases. Guess what? Their economy is booming now because they're one of the few places you can go to work now and manufacture stuff. So if you need stuff, that's a place you can get it. Mm-hmm. So. We jokingly talked earlier about, the Cape Crusader and people wearing the mask. It's like, it's an economic thing. If this thing keeps going, and guys, I've known people that have gotten this. It is, I think part of what makes it odd is it affects different people different ways. But if you're one of the ones that it affects badly, it is not a fun way to go. So, so I think for the economy and for other people's health, wear the mask. That has proven to work. And I think, so that's one thing we can all do individually. Then I think getting back into the buildings, just like, the savvy businesses are making sure you feel safe. I became a big Trader Joe's fan, right? Because you go into Trader Joe's, which is a little grocery store chain here. I think it's around, but you go into some of them and you got these yahoos walking around with no mask, coughing and all this stuff. You go into Trader Joe's, there's a woman with a mask. She's got a thermometer. She takes your temperature. If you don't have a mask, she gives you one. She goes, oh, by the way, these carts have just been cleaned over here. Here are some gloves if you want. And when you walk in, they got people monitoring, making sure people are staying apart. So I don't have to do that. You got people walking around with the stuff. So somebody touches something, they're cleaning it up. So I don't have to, I can focus on shopping there and spending money. I don't have to focus on safety. I don't have to get upset about somebody getting too close to me because that business is doing it. They have created a value, okay, that didn't exist before COVID came along. I wouldn't have cared before that. But now I choose to go there, even though it wasn't my favorite store. I like other stores because they have better selections or better prices. I go out of my way now because they are helping protect me. And I think.
And what you just said, you feel you're in a trusted environment.
They're getting granular levels at the school facility, right? They're telling you got to, it goes into the washing of hands. It goes into the availability of all these, disinfectants, the signs. They just say to clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces and objects within the school, at least daily, to include every door handle, sink handle, and drinking fountain. So this is pretty granular.
And that's all well and good, but that's what I referred to earlier. That's the visible side. What about the non-visible? What about all the environmental systems within those schools? Have they
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Worked
100%.
over, cleaned up, new filters, whatever, adjusted? And that's where our industry, that's where we have the answers today. We can take care of all that. This industry of manufacturers, integrators, contractors, technology providers, that's nothing new for us.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's creating more opportunity, I think, than ever, which is great. So our industry is doing really, really well. All right, Marcus Petock, man, it's been great having you on the show, man. Any final words for our audience? Linkspring.com is the best website to get hold of you guys at. And anything else you want to say before we hop off?
No, just that I'm excited that the ControlTrends Awards is going on. We'll continue on.
Absolutely, my friend.
That's exciting.
We'll look forward to that. And there you go, Marc Petock. Former you managed Cindy Crawford. You just dated him, right? So, so Marcus, we will catch you later, my good friend, and thank you so much. All right, man. There you go, man. Kenny, so pumped up about the ControlTrends Awards, man. We came up with a plan, and I think it's workable. And so stay tuned to the site for that. But we're going to go through the excitement of the nomination process. We're going to go through the excitement of the final voting. And, bottom line, you'll just have to bring your own alcohol and food. And when we do the live announcements of the winners, but big ups to Marc Petock. Appreciate him being on the show. And man, they just keep rocking and rolling. As a matter of fact, Kenny, you posted something else on the week about something Mark mentioned.
Link announces the new Genesis Edge 414 IP programmable Niagara controller. It's ported Niagara. This unit is ideal for small to mid-sized facilities, multi-site environments, plant equipment control for perfect applications that require minimal integration with third-party products, maximum 3, and minimal points of control, maximum 50. So that thing is targeted for our race to the small space. Edge control, but having all the formidability of the Niagara workbench and programming, and then the web portal. So we will put the post up. A lot of good stuff. The nitty gritty for the integrators. They'll want to know about the embedded software and about the. It has a maintenance for life provision that's new. I believe it's the first time I've seen that, and of course it supports the spanning tree protocol. So it supports up to 25 controllers from a single spanning tree IP network.
Well, congratulations to Mark, Terry Swope, and the rest of the team at LinkSpring. And Kenny, so are you excited about the ControlTrends Awards?
Well, Eric, it's been an amazing year. Like we've talked, shared experiences where it just doesn't feel like life is all the way there. It's not. It's like, and we've seen one after another of our major events. That ControlTrends enjoyed that ability to be in the middle of all these events, and not having that, it's kind of been like there's no sun in the middle of the sky. So having the opportunity to sustain something that we committed to make important in our lives, ControlTrends Awards, having the ability to maintain the continuity of all the, getting the testimony and attention to the people that are the heroes. We talk about, so many things are being done. People don't know who do them. So giving the opportunity to bring the product managers, the executives, the contractors, we talk about Alberio and Chesapeake Controls winning last year. We still actually have a couple trophies in a box that we couldn't deliver because they were delivered to one of the major vendors, but they were closed down. Their particular address was closed. No deliveries were accepted during that critical phase of the COVID, late March, early April.
Yeah.
So so I'm excited because it means that no matter how difficult it is, we're going to just keep doing it, and whether it's a 20% or 30% or 50% following and participation, it's still going to be the COVID-19 effort was made. Despite COVID-19, we had the ControlTrends Awards, and we'll miss being in Chicago, but hey, it goes on. The show goes on.
Well, I tell you, Kenny, and again, so I think you're still going to get the same recognition. It's just typically it's been limited to the 300 or 400 people that would show up at the awards, which is a big party. But, our stats show us that like when we do the announcements on ControlTrends and stuff like that, we get a lot more viewership through that. So you can sort of look at it as, we're going to miss the party, but we're going to have the excitement of doing the announcements, live so people can tune in for that. And along those lines, Kenny and I are going to put together some sponsorship packages for our sponsors. They will obviously be, reduced price because, we don't have to incur the cost of renting a venue and the food and the alcohol and all that is part of the celebration. And, so we will be putting together something special for our sponsors where we'll create some value. It'll be less expensive this year, obviously. So if you're interested in that, reach out to Kenny and I, and we can start getting you details on that. But we're gonna deliver. It's it still doesn't diminish the fact that the industry votes. I mean, think about it. I mean, nobody went to a specific location to vote. They all voted via their computers and whatnot. And so all that process stays in place. The only thing that's going to shift is the big party that we have. And we'll get back to that because the man, the myth, the legend, and I do like to party with our rowdy friends from the control world. So, next year.
Well, that was a party. I mean, when you combine the Super Bowl and the ControlTrends Awards, I tell you what, that was some good alignment, coming across the skies, to have two events, coincide.
It was
one night.
pretty special. You did a great job with that, buddy. That was a lot of fun, even though we couldn't get the sound. The great news for us, Kenny, is we don't have to worry about getting the sound right. I mean, goodness gracious, there's always one thing or another with the sound people. So I think Roger Rebanek's going to help us buy our own sound system. I think from now on, we're going to bring our own sound system in, but we'll figure that out. But wait, we got until next year, which is Vegas, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh man, and we had one of the best venues in Vegas, so that was great. So
The Hard Rock Cafe,
all
right there
brother.
on the
Well,
boulevard.
listen. Let's get back to it because I know the Steelers are calling you to come out and work out with them. I think they needed a punter, was what I was hearing. And Kenny used to punt back in the day, and when he wasn't being a quarterback or a defensive back.
Speaking of football, did you see that Terrell Owens ran a 4.3440, and he's 49 years old, and he was out showing off. The guy, remember Terrell Owens?
Yeah, well, yeah, I understand he was racing against you, and you were just like 1/10 of a second behind him, right?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I played defensive back and had to cover some of those guys with that kind of speed. And I did the little inside hold on that shirt. Once they broke past me, I'd rather get a flag than a touchdown. Yeah.
Understood, brother. Understood. All right, my good friend. Well, listen, let's hop off. Thank you so much for tuning in to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast. We'll be back next week. We got a special guest coming on next week. Going to show us some products and talk about some products that you're going to want to hear about. But until then, a special thanks to our guest, Marc Petock from Link Spring, the man, the myth, the host with the most of the ControlTrends Awards. And be sure to check them out. And Kenny, with that, be bold, stay in control, stay relevant, and wear a mask.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Squires. And that's a wrap, big dog. So